Indeed. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, yeah. No, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun. We've been honestly, there's so much going on for us. We 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 we're normally like really hyping the Tuesday calls and saying be here and there's a big topic, and we thought this week we're just going to do the update. We're just going to do an update. Let's not hype it. We've got a big update coming next week, obviously, with all of the pre-sale, which is it's always a super exciting time. So yeah, so we thought we'll have a fairly low key weekly update this week with the yeah just to try and just have a little bit of time to breathe before it starts going all crazy again. Good, good. That's always the number one goal. Oh, got to be a local issue. It's got to be your machine. Great, the West Easy's here anyway. I haven't, yeah. He's a busy man. He is a busy man, or man, woman, whatever he is. He's busy. Yeah, yeah. Mm, not good. Have you seen the market, by the way? The market is going absolutely berserk. Bitcoin dropped really hard down to 26,900, and it's now nearly 27,430 at the moment. It's huge, huge pump and still going at the moment. Still going. So I think if it goes on for another 100, then I think it's going to be start triggering a lot of yeah, I was looking around the market. I think there's a lot of shorts when it's really pumping. Not on our platform, a lot of savvy traders. So if you look at open interest at the moment, there's only 3K short, and we've got 62K open on the long side. So yeah, 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 it's good. It's good. I think it could be like a two-way indicator as well, though, in this industry, because I always say, one thing you can see what everybody thinks with the open interest, but this is an industry where the opposite of what everybody thinks is never far away. So I always look at open interest with sort of like an open mind, excuse the pun, because if everybody thinks one thing's going to happen in this industry, quite often the opposite happens. So I don't think yeah, it's not a guarantee by any stretch. Yeah, definitely. Big players, big players. So we always just chat for a few minutes. So we'll let people come in just to check. Frido, have you done the pings before we get going? All right, let's get moving then, guys. So we'll start off. Well, first, I think what's kind of cool is now we can start off talking about some stats. Yeah, very happy with the progress over the first week. So last week was the first full week of public beta. Just to give sort of a bit of a status update in terms of where we are. So we're increasing the PLP and we're also increasing the open interest. So if you haven't traded perps yet, open interest is the amount the maximum that you can have open, either long or short. And we're increasing that, and we're also increasing the maximum size of collateral. So we started off, I think originally it was $100, feels like a long time ago now, and we're now up to $1,000 collateral at 50 times maximum leverage, and the open interest is fairly high. Let me just, I can have a look now. I think our open interest limit is, the market is still going up, still green. Open interest is 250k on both sides. So our plan is actually to keep increasing that. And we do have, just to give people some confidence as well around liquidity, we've been really, really shocked by how much volume you can handle on relatively small amounts of liquidity. So, been scaling the liquidity and going through the phases as we always planned. And we do have, there's a number of ways that you can secure large amounts of liquidity. So, we have liquidity basically on tap as and when we want or need it. At the same time, we're very nervous about scaling liquidity very quickly without sort of the marketing machine backing it up, and then you just get dilution from the funds that are already in there, right? If you 5x your liquidity and your volume, doubles, then actually you're going to get less APY per dollar that's deposited in the liquidity pool. So going through a very phased approach for that. At the moment, we do have plenty of options to increase liquidity at will, and even exploring certain partnerships where maybe we can have liquidity on demand, so we don't have the dilution. You literally just use the liquidity and pay the fees as and when you need it. So yeah, so all stats looking very good. Honestly, considering the cap that we've got on trading size at the moment, the maximum position that can be opened at the moment is 50,000. You think when we get to like 10k collateral, then it'll be 500,000 single trade, right? So absolutely like bowled over by the amount of engagement that we've had so far. So hopefully you've seen the June dashboard. I think I can share a link in the chat here. It's also posted within the channel as well. I'd recommend checking out the June dashboard and keeping abreast of what's going on. To give you some headline numbers, we went, a million volume really quickly. We went through 10 million volume a couple of days ago, and we're very close to touching 15 million volume. And actually, our 24-hour volume is around 2.5 million at the moment. It has crossed over 3 million. That's on, this is super early days. So we're over 100 unique traders now. Happy to say that we're seeing new traders every day, which is fantastic. We're seeing the number of active wallets looking really healthy and moving in the right direction. So very organic progression at the moment, very healthy progression. We're extremely happy with where we are. We fully expect those numbers to start to scale this week. We've got if you're in the community, you're probably hearing and seeing and feeling, there's new people coming in. And so we've got various social campaigns, we've got KOLs. We did an AMA with a guy yesterday who will also be working with us. Actually, it's not just like a one-time thing. He'll also be working with us as well as dozens of other KOLs, where we'll be doing things like videos, AMAs. All of that is starting to take shape now. So you're starting to see more and more people coming through the door. So yeah, we're very happy with where we are at the moment, but we do expect things to continue scaling over this week, next week, and going forward as well. And then obviously once we get past launch, we have this strategy which we shared in our roadmap update last week, which is all about driving additional exposure and organic numbers through the platform and growth of users on the platform. So yeah, we're feeling super bullish, probably further ahead than we would have expected to be at this point. And actually knowing that we've got so many bullets still to come out of the chamber, we're super excited about the opportunity in front of us now. So yeah, hopefully you guys are happy. We are really happy. Yes. Yeah, that's a great heads up. Thank you for stepping in with that, Frido, because it's a huge compound effect, and that you also have this really unique opportunity in a bear market because it is dead out there. Most places are super dead at the moment, and people want to be around places that are lively. MDB is obviously very lively at the moment. I noticed that's really starting to pick up again as people can kind of see our strategy starting to take shape. So we kind of live in this bubble where we're like in Foxify, we're in MDB, and we just think that everything's alive, and it's probably 1 out of 100 projects have got the sort of level of energy and engagement that we have at the moment, and people stay with that. People want to be in that. They want to take part. They want to contribute to a protocol that's alive. So yeah, any support for all the new people coming through, super helpful. Some good big questions coming in. Should I take that question? That's an interesting one. Interesting question from Carlo. What would I think? What would you say to yourself 8 months ago? I think is the question, right, Carlo? Um, would you have gone down this crypto madness? You asked 8 months ago. So 8 months ago, I'm very principled. Although I'm working very hard to try and be more pragmatic, because sometimes I think you do have to change things, which can be quite topical at the moment. But yeah, so I think 8 months ago there was no question about sort of like where my ambitions lied. It's definitely a crazy industry. I'm not going to lie. A week in after leaving you know a position that was perfectly, a lot of people would be very happy to have, and after taking the company on the journey, and then hitting Terra Luna was a little bit of a shock to the system. But everybody sees people that are successful at the end of the journey and just thinks that it just came like that. And we're here for the fight. We're going to see it through, and I think we're going to do something great together. So yeah, no, I would tell myself there's lots of like yeah, if I could hire myself now as a consultant 8 months ago, I'd pay myself a lot of money. But yeah, there's been a lot of lessons on the journey. But yeah, I think you've always got a friend of mine who's like he's like super zen, and he's a CEO of a company actually, and really look up to him. He said, look, it's a bit cliche. He said, but you're either earning or you're learning, right? And it's very difficult, you know. It's a very difficult industry at the moment, but the learning's invaluable. So yeah, I shouldn't take that for granted. Good question there, Carlo. Sure. Oh, that's a really good question. That is a really good question. So, what's the biggest hurdle in beta that you didn't expect? That is a fantastic question. I think uh, probably options. Options. I think it's always challenging because you have a view of how something's going to be, and when you're the one designing it, when it's your innovation, a concept like Foxify Options is ours, there's always a bit of learning when the rubber hits the road, and I think that you're trying to build the whole experience. And if you look at, say, perps, for instance, there's 145 examples to go out, right? You wouldn't only a lunatic would build from zero in perps. And so it's very easy to see something, see the building blocks that you need, and then add your own secret sauce on top of that. Whereas with options, you're building it from the foundation all the way, and that's much more time consuming than would have imagined. I think also, it's easy when you're just looking forward, and one of my biggest strengths is probably being very optimistic, but at the same time, I think there's no doubt that we underestimated the scale of launching a two-sided trading platform in one go. Quite often, an advisor I have who says, if nobody's ever done it, just ask yourself why. And it's because it's a huge task. And often you think, well, you're the most innovative and you're fantastic and you're better than everybody else. Quite often there's a good reason, and we definitely bit off a big chunk, but it's definitely going to be worth all of the effort in the long run. Cool. Let's get on with the weekly update. And um, yeah, you guys and your gifts. So Bear with me 2 seconds. I just need to bring up my notes to go through the weekly update. So we might be done a little bit early today. So development update. So obviously, main focus at the moment is perps. We're, as I mentioned before, I've already discussed how we're continuing to raise the maximum open interest and also the collateral size. We do expect a little bit of insight. We do expect to be raising the collateral size to a maximum 1.5k today, and we'll also be upping the open interest to around about 350,000. So that gives the opportunity for bigger trades, more collateral, and also larger volume. At the moment, we've still got the pipe fairly small actually, so we'll be increasing that later today. So naturally, when you go through beta, there has been some bugs identified. So again, super thanks to the people that keep giving us feedback and input. The team have been moving really swiftly to resolve any issues. We had our first outage in 4 months, which is great, due to a node issue earlier this week, and it was resolved in a matter. Yeah, yeah. So it was resolved within a matter of minutes. So no major issues. Um, always working on some minor improvements and moving to address any bugs fairly quickly. You would have noticed the UI is updated quite a lot. We are um, I think one of the common feedbacks we're getting at the moment is around the UI and how it presents the P&L and fees. So that is, we've totally heard that. We are discussing that in the background internally, and we will be making a change there. So aside from that, so stats page is next. The guys have been working on that for a while now, but it is, there's a lot on our platform. There's a lot of information. If you saw the spec sheet for our stats page, it's exhaustive. So there's a lot of work there being done in the background, and then the next phase will be OptiTrade. We do have also PLP Plus, because it's not an PLP Plus is basically just a wrapper for PLP, which is similar to MDB Plus for anyone that knows MDB. So we went outside of the core team and just so that we could move at a faster pace. And PLP Plus should be with us this week, and we'll be assessing sort of the launch plan and whitelist process for PLP Plus. But most likely we'll be pushing PLP Plus out after the token pre-sale, just so we can have a very sort of like clear view, clear messaging, and complete focus on the pre-sale next week. Cool. So that's all of the development updates. Happy to answer any questions if anyone's got anything they want to throw in. What other stuff will you be showing on the new stats page? It's a great question. I don't have the specification to hand, but it will show. Uh, yeah. I don't have the specification to hand. If I try and go off the top of my head, then it's going to be a mess. So yeah, so we'll be. So we've got no update on Wave 5 Mint at the moment. Hopefully, we get an update in the next couple of days. So we'll, apologies for that. I'm sure you can imagine. You can't use those NFTs at the moment. There is a, there's no value to be gained from that NFT unless you put it on the open market. And obviously we're prioritizing other things at the moment. But we won't forget about it. I guarantee you that. That's a good question. That's something we'll be able to see on the stats page. Actually, we've got many, many more unique users on the options that we have on the perpetuals. In fact, I think they're two completely different beasts. As you can see, right? You've got, you do $25,000 a day in volume on options, and you'll be a top 10 protocol in the options world. Whereas, in barely a week, right, of having any sort of half decent position size available on the platform, we've done nearly $15 million in volume. So the two are just not comparable at all. But in terms of user numbers, actually, options, because it's been out much longer, is in the many hundreds. I think for last time I checked, 400 plus, maybe 500 even. I'd have to double check users, and on perps it's much less, about 110, 120 at the moment, but growing very quickly every day. So very different animals. Would also say with the options, it's very innovative, but it also means that you've got to take it to market. And we've launched it and then moved to focusing on perps. We've got one pair trading on there. So the sheep listing next week, it's a bit more focused back on options. And then when we move into our roadmap post launch and we look at the Foxify Accelerator program, then that will start to create a real cadence around options and new users as well. We also have so a voucher system also in development. Again, we took this outside of core development team because it's not intrinsic to the smart contracts. It's just a layer that sits over the top and is able to execute on behalf of the user. And we have a voucher system actually being created that we'll use for marketing. And that's quite a clever system actually because it will, it allows us to offer free trades, no lose trades. So you trade, and if you lose, you get a refund. If you don't lose, then well, just be happy that you won, or double your trade. So maybe you open you buy an option for $20 and we'll double it to $40, and you're very happy if you win. And there's also capability within that for us to set option availability by certain parameters. So, for instance, DYDX, GMX, GNS, Vela, any of those guys, we can look at wallets and say, if you have held one of their liquidity or their main tokens and between X and Y time in the past, so people can't go off and buy a token to game it, then you can have a free trade on us, which is fantastic marketing because we know that can only be exercised, technically speaking, it can only be exercised by somebody who is definitely of interest to us, right? That's one of the challenges with marketing, especially in Web3 where it's anonymous, is that you can put a lot of energy, time, money into marketing, and it's very hard actually to quantify whether it worked at all or if it is working, i.e., everything's moving in the right direction. It's very difficult to know exactly which part of your marketing is really driving that. Whereas with this voucher system, it allows us to kind of invest in marketing that we know will only go to people that are of interest to us, and it drives what we really need, which is new users, volume, fees. So yeah, so we're super excited about that. Actually, that voucher system as well could be ready this week. It will require a UI, but that allows us to start um, using a well-honed Web 2 marketing tactic in the Web 3 world without it being exploited, which is really cool. Yeah, yeah, and the Solidity developer um, did ask our permission. By the way, they did come to us and said, "Look, we're doing this Twitch. It drives engagement. We'll shout out Foxify on there, and is it okay?" And I'm like, "Well, we're in business here. Of course, go for it. It's not like I say, those smart contracts are not." They're not intrinsic to the operation of our business. They're just layers that sit on the outside, so they're not overly sensitive. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Say fixed, improved, improved. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and look, this is a fluid situation. We benchmarked with GMX, who charge 0.1% in, 0.1% out. However, we also recognize we're in a slightly different position. Now, we're in a slightly different position because we're new, but also we're in a slightly different position because we're throwing rewards around like nobody's business, right, at the moment. So that has to come from somewhere, and we need to. So at the moment, the fees are benchmarked with some of the higher ones in terms of perpetuals. However, there is a significant opportunity for people that are taking part. Remember, there's already been nearly 120 traders on perps. Only the top 50 are being paid volume. It's really encouraging to see. Actually, I think we've got 30 of those people have done over $100,000 volume, and the top 10 are all sort of like doing big chunks of volume. So we're in a very very strong position now. We are. You got to remember, when we come to the end of beta, you could say, "Oh, well, what about fees?" Well, actually, you can obviously go and get yourself a silver NFT or a gold NFT, and you can get a significant chunk straight off the top. And there is also the very generous affiliate program as well. So all of these things, have to come from somewhere. I think at the moment, if you're looking purely from a fee perspective, then even so, there are people who have the same, if not higher, fees than us overall. Um, but actually, if you add in that the affiliate is very generous, you've also got the opportunity to get the NFT Trading Co. Discount, and we will be reviewing that as well. So no, definitely hear you on fees, but right now we're throwing USDC rewards like nobody's business, and that has to come from somewhere, right? Cool. Right. Let's move on to the next point. So a couple of people are typing. So we'll move on to the next point. So pre-sale update. So just a little reminder. So pre-sale is locked in on the 28th of September at 3 p.m. UTC. So it has full reach across the globe. There is obviously a whitelist announcement that's going out. I strongly recommend people get on the whitelist. They will have the biggest advantage by far. They get the guaranteed allocation, and if you're on a whitelist, you also get first dibs at anything beyond guaranteed allocation. And you never know, maybe it doesn't go past the whitelist. So get yourself on the whitelist. That would be my strong advice. We are going to do a 1 week to pre-sale event on Thursday of this week. So we wanted to have our own specific session to cover launchpad processes, what you need to do, where you need to be, what you need to have in your wallet, what's the process going to look like, and what you need to do to be ready in a week's time. So we're running that session on Thursday to answer all specific questions around pre-sale. So I hope you guys are excited. I've got the butterflies. So yeah, I hope you guys have too. Cool. Yeah, no, Thursday's going to be fun. So make sure you're there. It's going to be kicking on. Have you put the event in the diary yet? Fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, go and go and click on it. And thanks. Carlo's doing tutorials. And remember, the percentages look big, but if you're using a lot of leverage, the movements are pretty crazy as well, right? And we've got a little group where we share stuff, and you're using high leverage, and you see some trades. I saw one trade where somebody was like lost 50% of their collateral, and it turned into making nearly 40% of their collateral was an upside. And it's just, yeah. So like, if you're using leverage, yeah, it looks like you've got to jump a big percentage, but those percentages move fast as well. So yeah, handle with care, as they say. So cool. I think we're moving over to you now, Frida. I think I'll give you the floor to do the exciting bit. Foxify beta. There you go. I'm in.